Hi everyone, this is Dan Feinberg from OpenSUNY Code, and the goal of this video today is to give you a little update and show you our current progress on the OSCQR rubric and process that's part of the course supports initiative. OSCQR stands for the OpenSUNY Code Quality Review. We have an OSCQR rubric and an OSCQR process. Now, I should say up front that we understand that many campuses are coming into OpenSUNY Plus already with their own review program. We understand that, and that's okay, right? Our goal in this is that campuses will have a regular schedule for review and refresh of their online courses, right? Some campuses will use our rubric and plug it into their existing process. Some campuses will use our process whole cloth. Others will have their own. That's okay, as long as there is a documented process in place. So what I'm showing you today, I'm going to be flipping back and forth between this OSCQR process document and the OSCQR rubric document itself. And please keep in mind that some of this, I'm showing you our sandbox draft version right now. Some of this is a little bit of a work in progress still and might change, but I think we understand that. So this process and this rubric is designed to be as flexible as possible for what the campus wants to do. Okay? So the first step of this whole process is a meeting that we have with what we are calling the review and refresh team lead, or the OSCQR team lead. We're calling it the OSCQR team lead, to make some decisions and sort of set priorities, right? And the first decision they have is what standards do they want to include in the rubric, okay? Our basic rubric is made up of 37 standards, right? You can see it a little bit better on this tab, I think. Our basic rubric is made up of 37 different standards. These standards are, we've tried to make them research-based. We've compared them with a number of different rubrics. We've gone through an extensive process of coming up with these 37 standards. Campuses are allowed to add additional standards if they want. All right, so we do have extra spaces available for campuses to add additional standards depending on if there are specific initiatives on their campus that might be important to them. For instance, TC3, who's not an OpenSUNY Plus campus, but TC3 has a big initiative on OER, and they might want to add an additional standard that dealt with that. Or there's other campuses that have a focus on experiential learning or international learning or any number of different things. If there's an issue that's important to a campus, we allow them to add additional standards to the rubric. So we'll sit down with them. They'll make that decision. We also allow them to prioritize these standards in a different way, right? We have a default prioritization that we have created on the back end of this rubric. We're going to invite campuses to review this prioritization and then make any changes that they see as possible. I don't know how many campuses will want to actually make these changes. Part of the goal of this is to get campuses to look closely at what the different rubric standards are. Okay, so after the campus has come up with any additional standards and prioritize them as they want, right? The campus is going to decide which courses are they going to review first, and what is the time frame going to be for these reviews. We don't expect all courses to be reviewed in the first semester. Campuses don't have the resources for that. We don't have the resources for that. What we're hoping to work with the campus to come up with is a schedule for course reviews. We'll do 3 a semester. We'll do 4 a semester. We'll do whatever the campus has the resources to handle, feels like they want to address. But we want to have a schedule where all of the courses are addressed, even if they're not all addressed immediately. We also are going to let the campus decide the time frame for doing these reviews. We've heard from one campus that they want to do it sort of as like a workshop where they conduct the review. They get everyone in the room and conduct the review in one day. We've heard other campuses that want to do it asynchronously, and they'll give their reviewers 4 to 6 weeks to finish it. We had one campus that said they wanted reviewers to work over spring break during that week. So campuses, depending on, we've been criticized in the past for not understanding the cadence, to use a McKinsey word, and sort of workflow of what goes on a campus, but we're giving campuses the opportunity to figure out when this process works best within their calendar and set it for that. So finally, after all of that is set up, we identify who is part of the review team. Now, excuse me, as part of the review, you'll notice each course is reviewed from 3 different perspectives, by 3 different people. The first perspective we say is the faculty perspective, and that's a peer review, where we have the instructor review the course themselves. The second perspective is from the instructional design perspective, where we have somebody with an instructional design background review the course. We prefer it be the ID on that campus. Okay? If not, we do have a pool of names of other IDs in the system, of people who have completed the ID certification course, of people in the advanced instructional design, I think it's experienced instructional designer role of the COAT community, who are willing to step in and help with course reviews. The third person in that review, the third perspective, is an external reviewer perspective. Now, this is designed to be preferably there's some flexibility here. It's designed to be preferably, it could a librarian or a multimedia developer or an instructional technologist, but it could also be someone, a subject matter expert. It could be a peer faculty member. It could be someone external to the campus. It could be someone within the campus. There's some flexibility in who this third person is. We will provide a pool of names of people who have been trained to use the rubric and who have expressed a willingness to help, and the campus can draw candidates for that third reviewer from that pool. So those would be the 3 people who comprise the review team. Right? The first step of the process is there's a short survey that we ask the campus to fill out. It's about 10 questions long, providing context to the review. It asks questions like, is this course part of a larger sequence? Is this the first course in the sequence or the capstone course in the sequence? Is this, excuse me, just any sort of background, or is this course 15 weeks, or is it a short-term course? Sort of contextual information that would help with the review. So once that is filled out, right, this is a campus-driven process, so it's up to the campus to provide access to the course, right? The course will be reviewed on the learning management system where the course is actually taught, right? That makes sense because there often are supports built into the learning management system that we think it's important that the course be reviewed in its native environment. We will make copies of the rubric. And provide them to the campuses. The course review will actually take place. Now, a copy of the course is used because we don't want any student data in this course. Excuse me, we don't have permission from students, for others to see their data. We don't want to disturb a live course. What we're doing is making copies of courses and reviewing these copies. We understand that we'll lose any evidence of sort of interaction between the faculty member and the student. We'll lose things like emails and discussion posts, and we lose announcements. But, because of that, this review is focusing on the design of the course, not the delivery. Right? Once the review takes place, we monitor the progress. Right? We will monitor the progress of this review, and if we take a little care and do this, then it'll automatically report back some analytics as far as the progress of the review itself. Okay? When it is completed, you'll notice there's an action plan over here where different sort of solutions will be offered, different ways to remedy some of the enhancements that are needed. We try to really focus in this on the action plan. QM sort of stops at identifying what the issues are. We try to take it further by saying, all right, here's what the issue is. Here are solutions for dealing with it. Okay? So after that is done, these get automatically aggregated into an action plan. So what we do at that point is we ask the campus instructor, we ask the instructor and the campus ID to sit down and discuss the outcomes of the review, right, and determine an action plan. Now, we don't expect that every identified issue gets addressed the very first time, right? We know that there might be limited resources, limited time, there might be disagreements. Our focus is not on that it meets every standard. Our focus is on, is the course improving? Is the process improving the quality of the course? So the ID will sit down with the instructor. They will come up with an action plan that outlines the priority of fixes, right? And that's where the priority comes in. That's where the time element comes in, right? Faculty will be able to prioritize it based on which are the most essential standards or which are the quickest fixes or something like that. The campus is going to largely drive the refresh process. Okay? We are going to offer resources on how to help with the refresh of the course, in terms of we are going to offer some sample documents and archived content items and templated out information and things like that. But the actual work itself is going to be done on campus. We're going to try to meet regularly with the course supports coordinator. Now, regularly doesn't mean weekly, or it might not even mean monthly, but we're going to try to meet with the course supports coordinator to check in on how progress is going and making sure that progress is moving forward and trying to identify areas where we can help the process. Then finally, the last step of this at the end of the process is to conduct what's called a learning review, right? Where after the course has then been delivered, the OSCQR team lead meets with the instructor and they try to review the process, what was improved, and what sort of future enhancements would we like to see. We also are going to encourage faculty to place a version of this rubric itself into the course, right? And let students review the course using this rubric, almost as a feedback mechanism. That we're very interested in seeing how does the students' version of what is the student's opinion of what the issues are matches up with what the IDs are and matches up with what the instructors are. So in a nutshell, in 10 minutes or whatever, that is our process and our rubric. What we are hoping to provide is the rubric, the dashboard, which is the tracking document, a templated action plan, a templated agenda for the learning review, and as time permits, we're going to provide examples of some communications that you could have with faculty as well. So I will provide you links to the process document and this rubric, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me.